Hi, welcome to the Best of California. I'm your host, Pat Pattison, and today it's all about farming. We're going to go all over the state to visit the best California farms. We're going to go to Nipomo, to a Luffa Farm. We're going to go to Shadow Hills and visit Danny's farm for an autistic child. We're going to go out to Palm Springs and visit the Windmill farms out there, and we're here in Moorpark at the Underwood Family Farms, and this place is incredible. So let's get in the tractor and head out. Farm number one is Danny's farm in the Shadow Hills, Sunland area just outside of LA. And I'm so excited to be here with Danny Gott with Danny's farm. And Danny, this place is unbelievable. Now tell me a little bit about what goes on here.
Well, Danny's farm was established back in 2007, and we're a petting zoo for those on the spectrum.
So tell me what's your favorite thing to do here.
My favorite thing to do here is just socialize with the animals. I love interacting with the chickens, honestly.
Chickens? Why chickens?
Because they're so docile.
They'll do what you tell them, or
more like they're just fun to interact with, and they're so sweet.
Okay, that's great. Now tell me a little bit about your family.
Well, we're the Gott family. There's me. There's my dad, who used to play for the Los Angeles Dodgers, and there's my mom, who's an advocate for autism like me.
So you're excited to spread the word about how you're integrating into society yourself, and hope other people will too.
Yep. I also want to spread the word about autism and how smart we are and how capable we are, and how we shouldn't get the short end of the stick.
What an important message. I'm here with Kathy and Jim Gott. Now you guys, tell me a little bit about how this all got started. Kathy, I'll start with you.
Well, when Danny was in high school, it's time to start thinking about that transition to adulthood and what is going to come after high school. And he went to an incredible vocational school called Exceptional Minds Studios. But in terms of employment, it was, what's he going to do? How can we be creative and harness his passion for animals and all his social capabilities? And so then the idea of Danny's farm, a petting farm, just to serve neurotypical people, do special outreach to the special needs community, and more importantly, hire adults who are neurodiverse. That's the word of the day, by the way, which I like because it doesn't use a word like disabilities implying, any kind of judgment or less than. It's just a different way of thinking. It's diversity. And there are, the latest statistics just came out from the CDC. It's 1 in 44 children today in the United States are diagnosed on the spectrum. So it's a lot of people who are neurodiverse. It's just the way of our society, the way we're evolving as human beings. So
that's so important. And Jim, tell me a little bit about what this enterprise has meant to you.
So much, and I've been doing the heavy lifting. I've just been here to support Kathy, and Kathy's been the brains and the heart behind all of this, and all of the different things that Danny has needed throughout the different stages of his life, whether it's getting into the proper school, making sure that the proper classroom to be able to really push him to his ceiling. And we know now, as you heard from him, Danny really believes that there is no ceiling for him and that there's so much opportunity for him. And it was easy when it came down to the petting farm. The great part was that throughout our whole life, when we went to the fair, all of a sudden it was too loud, too many noises, too much action going on. He gravitated towards the petting farm. We would go to friends' houses and we would wonder, where's Danny? And next thing we'd know, he'd be in the dog shed with their dogs or their animals. And then Kathy got him down with the Humane Society down in Pasadena, and he was a cat socializer, and it was just wonderful for him because not only did he feel a great sense of accomplishment because of what he was doing and giving back, but he would come home and just was so grateful for the opportunities that the animals gave him.
So Danny, what's going on?
Yeah, that's beautiful. As you can see, Jasper's a little upset that his best friend's not here, but now she's coming back, and she just got groomed.
And who's Jasper?
Jasper's the horse right behind me.
And tell me what kind of horse this is.
He's an American miniature horse.
American miniature. So tell me, Danny, there's something special about Jasper. Tell me what that is.
Yes, there is. In fact, he has heterochromia idiom.
What? Heterochromia idiom. Tell me what that means.
Heterochromia idiom, or heterochromia, is when someone or something has two different colored eyes. Right this way.
Tell me what we're going to go look at.
Well, we're going to look at the rest of the animals.
Okay, and so is this the main petting area?
Yes, it is. Right behind me right now is Onyx the pony.
Okay, great.
And she's a pretty young girl. She's about 7.
Okay, show me some more.
And over here, the one walking away right now, this is Glitter the miniature donkey. She's a Nubian.
Danny, I can't thank you enough for what you are doing here along with your family.
I really appreciate you coming down here, Pat. Thank you very much for gracing us with your presence.
Thank you for having me here. And Danny's starting his own show and YouTube channel. Check out more information at dannysfarm.org. And now let's go to the Luffas Farm and find out how the heck you spell loofah in Nipomo up in the Central Coast.
So I always thought these things came from the ocean, but my dad found out a different story for us. Let's go check it out with him in Nipomo. Dad?
We're here at the Luffas Farm, and Brooke Gamble showed me a loofah. I mean, is that the right thing to call it?
Yes,
A loofah?
absolutely. This is a loofah.
Oh my God, look at the size of that thing. That is amazing. It looks like a giant zucchini.
It sure does. They are related to zucchini. They're
Okay.
a member of the gourd family.
Okay.
They grow a lot like a cucumber.
Okay.
Or a zucchini. You can, when it's young, you can harvest it to eat. And then if you don't, it just gets bigger and bigger. And when it gets too big, instead of rotting or falling off like you find usually in fruits and
Right,
vegetables,
right.
it just dries up right on the vine.
What might a greenhouse like this harvest in a year, if you know?
So this greenhouse harvests about 8,000 loofahs
Whoa,
a year.
wow.
Yeah, so we're not even in the peak.
There's gold
growing
in them there
season yet.
loofahs. That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
amazing.
The variety that we're growing here is Luffa aegyptica,
Okay.
from Egypt originally.
Okay.
There are a variety of types of loofahs that can be grown, but this is the only one we grow.
Okay. That is amazing. And so somebody over in Egypt picked up a spoiled gourd and went, God, I can wash myself with this.
Yeah.
And here we are still doing it. So Brooke is showing us the stages of the loofah. Tell us about these two guys.
So, we already saw the green one. This one comes right after that green one.
Okay.
Once the loofah's gotten as large as the vine can support, the vine cuts off all the water supply.
Wow.
It says no more, and then the vine starts sucking all that water back up. The vegetable releases all the water, and it starts to turn from green to yellow.
Right.
And then as that progresses, it begins to go from yellow to brown.
Okay. Here we are with stage, 3 of the loofah. Look at this. So tell me about that, Brooke.
So, after the loofah has stopped growing and the vine has sucked all that water back out,
Right.
all that's left on the inside are the dried fibers.
Wow.
If you peel the skin back, it's right there, right underneath.
So, Brooke, this has been fascinating. We've seen all the stages. Here we are at the end product. So, explain what you got there.
This is a loofah that's just been harvested. It
Okay.
is ready to clean up.
Okay.
First, we have to shake all these seeds out.
And this is the direct descendant of the magic seeds.
This is.
And you can tell because you have these legacy heritage loofahs that you mentioned in the beginning that you can tell your brand of loofah.
Yes,
That's
they are
incredible.
softer and smaller
That's
than what you normally find growing in the tropics.
So here we are almost how many years? 30 years? 99? Do you do the
20
math?
years.
20 years.
20 years.
That these seeds have been providing this wonderful business here at the Luffas Farm in Nipomo. Brooke Gamble, thank you so much. And now out to Palm Springs for a different kind of farm, the Windmill Farms. I'm excited to be with Tom Spiglanen at the Palm Spring Windmill Tours, and people can come look at these giant behemoths. That's amazing. Give me a quick kind of history of why these are all out here.
So the first wind farm in the Palm Springs area went in 1982, and it was just a small collection of 8 tiny little turbines, and they performed pretty well for their owner, so he added a number more and was up to 212 by 1983.
And take us back to 1982. What triggered this?
So it's actually the 1970s when we were suffering from the oil embargoes, and we had a desire to be free of foreign oil. Basically, that's what it was.
As I recall, Jimmy Carter had incentives, and there were all sorts of reasons to try to do this.
So Jimmy Carter started the Department of Energy, as I understand it, and also at that time, the state of California incentivized wind energy. So from 1981 through the end of 1985 is what's known as the wind rush in California.
Tell us a little bit about the history of the technology, because I know your tour, Tom, shows us kind of the past, current, and future. Tell me a little bit about that.
So the past machines, we usually start the tour by talking about the 3 competing designs, the way I look at it. If you're going to harvest energy from the wind, you can do it one of 3 ways. The machine can spin like a top, around like that, in which case it doesn't care what the direction the wind is, right? It just spins like a top. Or you can be like these modern machines that these face the wind, so they're a horizontal axis machine, they face the wind, but the American approach at the time was to turn them around and let the wind do the work of orienting the machine. So they called those downwind. Unfortunately, it's really hard to tame the wind. The wind always wins.
Now, you're telling me too, though, with the modern machines, these are nothing.
Oh, nothing at all. This is only a 26-foot blade.
How big are the new ones?
The latest are 192 feet. On land,
I've
the ones
seen-
offshore are about double that size.
Oh my God, that's unbelievable.
380 plus feet offshore.
380, because I've seen them going down the freeway on a semi, and it just goes on and on and on.
Well, it's 2 tracks. You've got the root of the blade is on the tractor, and then at the far back there's an extra trailer to carry the tip of the blade to make sure it doesn't hit the ground and steer it around corners.
So Tom, a question I have is, why are some of them turning and some of them are stopped?
Well, it's actually the most common question we get at the tour center, and we have a list of 6 possible reasons. And I'll just run through them real quick. Not enough wind, too much wind, a mechanical issue or it's undergoing maintenance, loses grid power so it doesn't have any place to send its energy, a contractual issue if it's under a power purchase agreement and they've met their contractual obligation, or the 5th possible reason if they are just derelict. If you have a machine that's just never going to work again. I call it like Uncle Buck. Remember Uncle Buck? He ain't never going to work. Well, neither are those old turbines.
Do you have any idea what the cost of these big new turbines is, just overall, roughly?
$5 to $6 million, give or take,
for one. Holy cow! So, what are the incentives in California? Since we're a California-based show, do you know what the current incentives to invest in these are? Or?
Well, there is a production tax credit at the federal level, and but the state of California after 1985 dropped the early incentives, which I don't want to call them short-sighted because it really did kickstart the industry, but they were rewarding developers for installing wind turbines and not so much that they would survive. And so you can imagine some of the developers might take shortcuts near the end of the year to make sure that they got the rebate.
So Tom, I appreciate the tour. This was incredible. Come out and visit Tom Spiglanen here at the Palm Springs Windmill Tours. And next up, let's head to Moorpark for the Underwood Family Farms. A great spot to take the entire family. So I'm so excited to be here in Moorpark at the Underwood Family Farms, and I get to be with Craig Underwood. And Craig, this is like the Disneyland of farms. This is unbelievable. There's so many people here. There's so many activities. When did this all get started?
Some people say Disneyland. We prefer not to have it referred that way, but it originally started in 1980 when we opened our produce stand in Somas, and over time, we just responded to what people wanted, and they wanted more contact with the farm, and we wanted to give them fresh fruits and vegetables, and that's why we opened that stand in Somas.
And I understand Disneyland's the pretend thing. This is the real deal. So kids don't get to do what they are doing here anymore.
This is a little bit of a fantasy farm because farming is really hard work. But we want to bring the kids out so they can pick their own fruits and vegetables, because it's surprising, it's kind of standard statement that kids think their food comes from the grocery store, and they really do believe that, a lot of them. So when they come out here and pick their own, they're more likely to eat it, for one thing, and we want the kids to learn to eat a fresh fruit and vegetable diet. We want them to know where their food comes from, and we're also trying to educate their parents, because their parents, most of them are far removed from the farm, which, at one time, most people came from the farm.
That's right. I was born in the 50s, and much of where I grew up down in Orange County was either ranch land or orange groves.
Right.
And we're out here in Moorpark, and your family has been farming in the area since the 1870s, you were saying?
1867.
1867, wow. So how many acres are devoted to your two locations, Moorpark and Somas?
About 200 acres. The concentration is in this area right here, but we have 12 acres in Somas, where my parents used to live.
Okay. And we noticed there's an area where the crops seem to be done by color coding almost. What's that about?
Well, we're basically a market garden, so we're planting small plots of a lot of different things all the time. And we try and coordinate so they're harvesting about the same time. That doesn't always work. So we're mixing it up. It gives us a good habitat for beneficial insects, and it's convenient the way we do it.
And your farm is also to teach children about sustainability, but I also know you have a balanced approach, which is sustainable and some conventional when needed. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's absolutely correct.
And that's such a neat concept. I mean, that's I love the fact that that's the way you're doing it.
Yeah. I often compare what we do in trying to raise healthy crops to human medicine, because if we exercise, we eat right, and take care of ourselves, we need to rely less on antibiotics and some of the other things that are life-saving when you need them.
And in terms of the other activities that kids can do out here, I know we're at a theater, so there's shows. Name a few other things they can do.
Well, number one, they can come out and pick. And we're getting right into strawberry season here pretty quick. But we have a ride around the farm that you can either do on a horse-drawn wagon ride. When they come in, they automatically get a free ride around the farm with a tractor-drawn wagon. We have a bee train, a cow train. There's slides, our combine slide. And then, of course, we have a large animal center here, which most children, I think, associate a farm with animals. That certainly wasn't our roots, but we like to expose them to animals, and they're interested.
And you have schools come up and do tours, and there's all sorts of ways that other people can participate. So, Craig, I know you're excited that there's a new generation involved at the farm. So, Suzannah, could you come in? So, Suzannah, what is your role here at the Underwood Family Farm?
I like to think of myself as the farm ambassador. So I educate the public on what we're doing and the events that we're having out at the farm.
Wow. And did you grow up on the farm? What's your story with farming?
I grew up going out farming with my dad. He would quiz me on the crops, and I would learn everything about farming. And it was just a part of my life.
It sounds idyllic. Now, are there more generations that might get involved, Craig?
Well, that's up to the girls, and really their sons.
Okay.
Is
that going to happen?
I think so. I married a farmer, and we had 2 boys, and they're involved in 4-H, and they're out on the farm. So I think there's a future for them in farming.
The seed has been planted, not to use a pun. So it's Pat Pattison. As Pat Pattison, come out and enjoy the Underwood Family Farms. This is an incredible place out here in Moorpark. I can't believe it. I'm going to go ride a tractor. This Underwood Family Farms was incredible here in Moorpark and their location in Somas. And now my daughter Liza and I are going to go see the parent navel orange tree in Riverside. Let's go. So I'm so excited to be here in Riverside with my daughter Liza. I am her parent. But this is the parent of the orange industry in California. It's the parent navel orange tree here in Riverside. Still here. It's amazing. And Liza, when I was a kid, we had orange groves all over Orange County. 617,000 acres. I looked it up. 5 million trees. I didn't count each one of them. But we would always play in the orange groves. So that was California then. What about now? What is important to you about this parent navel orange?
Well, for me, it was about a female pioneer in the mid-1800s, and she had brought a tree from Brazil, and she watered it with dishwater. She knew how to nurture it because she was a mother herself.
She had a great name.
And she had a great name. Her name is Eliza Tibbetts, and it really had saved California and the economy and when she started the citrus industry as a whole.
Why are navel oranges important?
Well, navel oranges are important because they're seedless and they don't need to be pollinated, so it can be controlled as a crop.
Wow. Wow, that was incredible. The farms are so important to California. I don't know about you, but I'm hungry and I want to use a loofah to take a bath. Thanks for being a part of the best of California. See you next time. Hi, it's Pat Patterson. Are you ready for a more creative and fulfilling second act? I know I was. So I wrote a book about it, Creative U-Turn, 9 steps to your new creative life and career. It's an easy to follow plan that can get you where you want to go. Creative U-Turn. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Balboa Press, and other places.
Go to patpatterson.net to order your book and sign up today for the free monthly workshop.
There goes my dad, and that's the last time we ever saw him. He'll be planted in this vegetable garden one day. That was his last wish.